I'm not certain if this is an allegory or a metaphor or a simile. I don't know. It's a good lesson. It's a really good thought to have. When you intend for something to happen and the outcome doesn't appear in what you imagine, because the path from here to there doesn't exactly work the way you intend. Let me show you what I mean. And you know the experience. You've tried to do something. You've attempted to fulfill a goal or some kind of an objective that you want to achieve. It's change in your life, a habit you want to conquer, and everything comes up. All kinds of things get in the way, and you have to, in sailing, we call it tacking. We can't get to the destination if we're going against the wind. We have to go in a zigzag, all the way across the lake back and forth. Well, this is a different example of that. What I intend is very straightforward and very simple. Water through a hose, straight over there into the Airstream. Just really simple. But watch what happens to the route when I put the pressure on. I think that's a pretty cool example, right? My point being, here's one now. And the airplane that's been flying over. So you have to account for what you don't expect as part of the journey. The triggers come from the surprise, the shock, the unpreparedness for all the twists and turns that come with getting to your goal. You've had lots of them. So that I have onus probandi, evidence to substantiate my claim, while I'm trying to transfer video files to create this episode, I recognize or spot what's going on. Notice the leak. Well, come look what's happened, because I've turned the water on and off in order to shoot this video. I now have sprung a leak inside of the Airstream. That's definitely something worth thinking about. I got to crawl in there and tighten that up a little bit and then get back to editing the video. Good news is that while I was taking this apart, I found these had fallen behind the sink, and this is from one of our first trips. It's a pair now of moldy sweat shorts of Angelina's that were actually never even worn, it looks like, had fallen behind there and disappeared. So maybe we averted mold poisoning because of a tiny little grommet. That's the stuff you never really know. It turns out it's nothing more than a tiny little defective. See how that's not equal? Yeah. So, tiny little gasket and a reboot on a computer at the same time. This is hilarious. It's 30 miles into town. And yeah, 30 miles each way for a 25-cent gasket. Sometimes it helps to put situations and inconveniences in context. What I mean by that is, if you expect things to go sideways while you're doing something important, you'll be much more able to throttle the biological responses of a trigger. So this is the very first episode that I am confident in stitching back together following 6 or 8 months of rebooting from big story coming on later on. This happens to be to be included in leaving Scotomaville. Yes, book, video, whole thing. And there's a lot going on inside my head. It's amazing how many things. Well, I have a friend, Bill Sharman.
Hi, my name is Bill Sharman. I'm the general manager of KHP Radio in Oroville, California.
That I'll quote. He often says, life is what happens between your plans. So I was just going to get up, shoot this episode. It's now noon and I'm going into town to get a 25-cent part. That's how things go often, right? Okay. But we know better. Put it in context. I forgot to mention this morning, before I could start, my phone for the first time since I've owned it was completely dead, as in 100% discharged, and I had to plug it in and pause, right? Another one of those little snaky curves just to be able to get started on this adventure today. It's always good to have one of these. So I guess to prove my point, they don't have a standard rubber cone gasket in all of Home Depot. I gotta go to Ace Hardware. Holy cow. Our biology betrays us. The emotions of chaos to accomplish simple things causes a trigger. My battery's going dead, so I plugged it in. I can't get onto Google for directions because I'm signed out of the network. And then when I try to sign in, it says your billing didn't go through. And so a whole series, get the domino thing. I couldn't have orchestrated this, so I tried. I just drove through a construction zone and videoed the whole thing on photo mode. So you can see the dominoes toppling, just like this little snakes in the hose. And that's just on one simple little thing for today. Try to accomplish a big summit like self-awareness. Try to do something really important like a social cause. You're going to get all kinds of obstacles, and so I'm taking this exit. I'm going to get off. Okay, we'll try this. So we finally find one, and what it's called is a slip joint cone washer. $0.59, not even $1, and 45-mile drive each way. Nice. Onus probandi, right? Burden of proof is on the claimant. So if you'll notice that the shadows are completely the opposite end of the day, I am now turning the hose back on to pressurize the water in the Airstream. So when you try to get something accomplished or make a difference for someone or just be expedient, plan for life to happen between your plans. And that's worth thinking about. Aw, man. Just for the record, I am making a second trip because at Home Depot I thought, well, I just won't get the plumbing tape. But I need plumbing tape. So I get to go back because I made a bad choice. And that's in another piece of the book. 100% wrong, 50% of the time. Okay, here's another thought. On one occasion, my Eurovan broke down, and I was north of Deming, New Mexico, about 26 miles at a rest stop at about 104, 105 or 6. I had to bicycle into Deming to pick up a new rotor and rotor arm because the overflow tank on the radiator decided to spill over at that time and crack it. That was a really tough day because I was getting back. I just took a pee break, right? And I was getting back to the rest area at dark, dehydrated, hungry, tired, cranky. Man, I am sitting in a new pickup truck with leather and air conditioning, and it's 82 out, but I have the cooling seats on, and I got nothing to bitch about. So circumstance, situation, the place that you're at, the surrounding events can all ramp up how difficult that tack-ing can be, and definitely can add to either the chaos or the distraction. Once more, back at the Home Depot. Back into the plumbing aisle. This time, take the hint. Only 98 cents. Yep, nothing more than 98 cents. So I'm looking at this part, and with a new washer in it still leaks. And it could be, as I said, that I forgot to pay attention to my knower and get this tape to go around here to seal it. But as I was having a look at this edge and why this was so crushed inside there, crooked, I realized that this whole inside, if you can see it, is just really soft and coming apart. So I used what I had, no sandpaper, but I refiled this down. I'm going to apply the tape, put the washer back in it, probably using the same one since I know that already fits, and see if I can get a decent seal out of that. All right, trying it a third time. Methinks by now you will start laughing. This is trip number 3. That's what I have with me. There's the leaking part. I just cut that sucker off. I'm going to replace the whole thing because this plastic cross threads on the nylon and the rubber on the inside doesn't seat properly. So we're going to put it all back together the right way. Well, at least a different way. Trip number 3, Ace Hardware. Gonna fix it. It's been a pretty darn curvy day. And this is why it takes so many times to fix stuff. It's none of everything that's been leaking. It is literally the housing has failed. But I invented a gnat sucker, you don't have to smash them into the upholstery, you can just suck them up. Thank you, Dyson. So to add to the story this morning, although we had hooked up and it's slow dripping, as you can see the puddle overnight. This morning while showering, the utility guys working over here are putting in the new hose station, and they cut the water supply off to the whole campground. So between my shower and Angelina's shower, the water went dead, meaning another little curve, right? Hey, how come there's no water? Did the hose blow up? Which is done before. I'm not certain whether there is any truth to the idea of yin-yang. For all the good you create, there must be an equal balance of evil or bad. Works in physics, conservation of energy, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to the other. I don't know if that works when you're trying to do good for people and tell a good story. You got to have crap equal in the scale of that, but it's a thing worth thinking about. Yeah, Airstream of Scottsdale, and you know what part we're going to be buying, right? Hint, hint, the whole thing. Never mind. I'm going to go get the part. And that reminds me, I have a friend, Bill Sharman, that often says, life is what happens between your plans.